Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are here for season 2, episode 6 of Never Ever Met. Never Ever Met. Never Ever Met, season 2, episode 6 on TV, OwnTV. And they're calling it Bet You Won't Kiki No More. But I'm retitling the video, y'all. I am retitling the video, and it's going to be titled, I Don't Want to Be a Player No More. I don't want to be a player no more. First, I was going to call it love bombing because that's what Clay is absolutely doing to Tatiana. But after he said that line of one of my favorite artists, Joe, I don't want to be a player no more, I said, oh, no, I got to retitle this video to that because he may not want to be a player no more, but he's perfectly comfortable being a liar. He got me over here spitting. He is perfectly comfortable being a liar, but he said he don't want to be a player no more. Well, let me tell you something. Players lie, and lies lead to players, Clay. I don't know what's going on. We're going to have to talk about all Clay's lies. We're going to have to talk about Tatiana, knowing that he is lying about something, but yet still tells this man that she loves him. Tatiana, girl, my girl from LA, do we need to meet up? Let me know, do we need to meet up? Pick the spot, girl. I will meet you there and we can have a conversation because you are handling this all wrong. Because you know, Tatiana, this man is lying about something. So you ought to get to the bottom of it before you go into this boom boom room. We got to talk about the boom boom room. We got to talk about Jay and Sinko. They are front runner couple. We know that they are solid, but they stumbled this week. They really stumbled this week. And let me tell you who tripped them up the most. Jay did. Jay, girl, you wrong. You are so wrong. I am glad your sister came and knocked some sense into you. So I'm glad you got somebody in your corner that can speak to you real and give you the truth, even though she may love you, because you was wrong, girl. And there were so many things that Jay did wrong where she could have avoided all of this, all of it. None of it had to happen. We're going to go over all the things Jay did wrong. I was happy, though, in the end that she recovered. But we still got to learn some lessons from what she did. And then this thing with Clay going on, y'all, is bad. It's just so bad. It's so bad. And then at the end, we saw the previews where he talks about he's going to tell Tatiana the truth when his best friend comes. And when the best friend comes, we find out it's some young woman that's jumping up on him like they in love and lovers. What the hell is going on here, Clay? What is going on, Clay? This is bad, y'all. This is really bad. But before we get going, before we go into the play-by-play and really get deep down into this episode, I got to play my introduction video. And then I want you guys to like the video. Please subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment down below as we go along in the video. I'm okay with y'all commenting in real time as you hear something I say and you want to comment on it. You can leave more than one comment. I am okay with it. All righty. Well, let me play the video and we will be right back. So we are back, y'all. We're back for season 2, episode 6 of Never Ever Met. And maybe we ought to call this Never Ever Met, Never Should Have Lied. All of it. Never, a whole lot of never shoulda. Never shoulda, never shoulda. And Clay is running around here. He and Tatiana are lovey-dovey, lots of PDA, lots of hugging and kissing. And Clay says, I don't want to be a player no more. Oh my goodness. Then we have Ty sitting in the kitchen cooking bacon and eggs and grits and whatever else he can think of cooking. Because what he says is, I'm going to cook a meal for my girl, Britney, just the way she likes it. So Britney is about to get what she wants. She's about to get a custom prepared meal by the chef. And not only does he prepare it, he says, I'm going to serve it to her. I'm going to take it right to her. That's what he says. I'm going to cook it. I'm going to plate it. And I'm going to serve it. Because remember, there's levels to this, right? you could cook a person a meal, but then you could tell them, serve yourself, get it off the stove, right? But you could cook it and then you can plate it for them. That's a whole nother thing too. I'ma cook it and I'ma plate it for you. The third level of serving someone is to cook it, to plate it, and to take it to wherever they are so they don't even have to come to you. And that's what Ty did. He says, I'm going to give her bedside service. And Country Christopher, who we're finding out is very, very lazy in relationships. Country Christopher is lazy in relationships. We saw it when he was on Ready to Love. Any of y'all remember Ready to Love? And remember when Country Christopher was going out with Lee? Remember, Lee was high class. Lee was high class and she had to take Country Christopher out, and she was trying to teach Country Christopher the levels of dating. What she was saying was, you need to put some effort into this dating. And Lee was like, there are levels to dating, and Country Christopher, you are on level 1. And at that time, Country Christopher was offended, talking about he knows levels of dating. I don't need no one to tell me that. Well, obviously you don't, Country Christopher, because right now, when I look at the effort you're putting in with Alexis, even though I'm not always a big fan of Alexis, your effort is lousy. Your effort is lousy, and we're finding out this episode, so is your spelling. You can't spell a damn thing, Country Christopher. Do you know how to spell your name? That's what I wonder. You was obviously lazy in school too and didn't pay attention, because you done skipped all the lessons about spelling. You can't spell nothing. You can't spell henny. You can't spell purple. Nothing. Nothing at all. But once Ty took the meal to Tatiana, not Tatiana, goodness. Once Ty took the meal to Britney and served it to her in bed, she said thank you to the man. She did say thank you. She gave him a hug. But like we said about Britney, it's never enough. It's never good enough. She's always got to point out the negative, the what wasn't done. And immediately what she tells is her friend, well, I guess I had to be ugly to finally get breakfast. Girl, you didn't have to say all that to your girlfriends. You could have just spoke kindly, lovingly, praisingly to the other women about your man, but instead was you accepted the gift from him. Then when he left the room, you start talking about how you had to talk ugly. Britney's not my favorite. I'm sorry. I know Tatiana says she loves her some Britney, but Britney, she sit up on that confessional couch with no neck. That's how I look at it, Britney. It kind of freaks me out sometimes. It really does. And I don't like it, Britney. I need you to get rid of the negative. That's what I need you to do, Britney. I need you to get rid of the negative conversation, always pointing out the negative, and sometimes just point out the good. Because we're going to see her once again get into it with Clay. Like I said, I'm not a fan of Clay either, but Britney always finds herself in the same situations. And I'm going to tell you what those situations are. One is she's very good at pointing out what other people do or don't do, but she actually has no accountability for her own actions. So what happens to Britney all the time is she could be right and she could be wrong at the same time. She can be right about others, but she's wrong about herself. And that's why I have a problem with Britney with the no neck. I got a problem with it. Brandon and Kiki said they are back on the road to doing better, both of them. Kiki says she craves intimacy, but she is afraid to give it to Brandon. I do believe Kiki got a man at home. I do believe that Kiki's over drinking and overeating traces back to her childhood. I do believe that Kiki was neglected as a child, probably when it came to hugs, kisses, affection. Like she said, she doesn't come from an affectionate family. I believe that Kiki has a deficit in her life of that, and it has been with her whole life. And the way that she soothes herself and comforts herself is not by having someone else love on her, but is soothing herself in the way of alcohol, food, and sucking her thumb. That's what I believe. And so when you have Brandon who comes over here and says, I want to love on you, I actually want to be a person that gives to you and sort of fulfills you. Kiki's not used to that sort of thing. She isn't. She's used to soothing herself through food, alcohol, and sucking her thumb. And what she's saying is she's not very comfortable giving affection that way because one, she's never received it, and two, it's very unfamiliar with her and she doesn't trust it. Kiki trusts food in the bottle more than she trusts Brandon. That really boils down to it. It boils down to who does Kiki trust the most to really be there for her. And she says it's food and alcohol. That's who's been there for her and her thumb. That's who's been through with her all this time, and that's who she's sticking with. And she doesn't feel comfortable trusting Brandon with her care. When Tatiana was in the confessional room, she was being honest and saying she doesn't really want to go to the boom boom room yet because she doesn't fully know if she can trust Clay. She said that she doesn't want to be hugging. She doesn't want to be in the boom boom room. She wants it to be on her own terms. She's comfortable with cuddling. She's comfortable with kissing, but she doesn't want to go in the boom boom room too early to be his choice. She wants to be her choice. But later on, we see that after a while, after he's love bombed her enough, giving her flowers, giving her kisses, giving her hugs, giving her all the words of affirmation that she wants, he ends up taking her to the boom boom room anyway, and it looks like he gets what he wants. So even though you said you want to get what you want, which is the truth, you were willing to let that part go. You know the man is lying to you, Tatiana. You know he's lying to you, but you want the fantasy. You see, you don't want the fantasy to end either. That's the thing about love bombing. Love bombing, it takes two things to happen for love bombing to be effective. It takes the person to love bomb a person, which is Clay. Clay is willing and ready to do it. But it also takes another person who's willing to accept all the love bombing and to ignore what they know in their gut. That's why with love bombing, you can never really just blame one person. You can blame the love bomber, absolutely. But if you ever listen to a person's love bombing story and you on the outside looking in, you will listen to their story and you go like, girl, you didn't know that man was love bombing you? You didn't know that? No, you wanted to not hear it. Everyone in this house is throwing hints to Tatiana that this man is lying. But every single time, Tatiana wants to ignore it. She wants to continue cater to his feelings without seeking the truth. So she's not really going to be able to tell me all the way she's a victim of love bombing because the signs, the red flags are too bold. And we even have her sitting in the confessional saying she know he lying, but she don't press him to open up and tell the truth. Nah, Tatiana, my girl from LA, let me know when you want to meet. And Auntie Deborah will meet you in LA at a place you want to meet, and we can have a conversation. They get ready to play another game. This one, they're going to play the game about asking a bunch of questions. Who knows who each other best? Y'all been talking online. Who knows each other best? And of course, Jay and Sinko are ready to play because Jay is very, very competitive. We said this from the very beginning. Remember the first date that Jay and Sinko had and Jay got to pick the date? Remember, everybody needs to go back to the first time everyone came to the house. And what they did was they had Sinko show up at the house with all the ladies, and Jay stayed behind and showed up later. It was in that moment I said that these are power plays by Jay. That's what I said. Jay likes to be in control. She want to try to punk Sinko, right? And I kept saying, I sure hope Sinko does not bow down to Jay. On the first date, Jay want to pick a game of basketball because what? She want to beat Sinko. She want to exhibit some dominance over Sinko. This is what I said was going to be the issue with Jay. Now, as we've seen throughout this whole entire season, Jay loves these games. Jay loves these games because, like she says, she likes to win. She likes to dominate. I said this about women in sports. They like to win. They like to dominate. And the problem with people who want to win and dominate all the time is sometimes what they do is they want to win even though it is not good teamwork. Jay did not practice good teamwork with Sinko this episode. What she did was she played one-on-one. She tried to beat him. That's what she tried to do. So even in this little game when they were trying to figure out who knows most about each other, They're asking about what people's favorite food is, what people's favorite drink was. You see who got whose favorite food and drink right? It was Kiki and Brandon. Brandon knew right away what Kiki's favorite food is and her favorite drink because that's what they like to talk about. That is Kiki's comfort zone. They knew everything about that. Okay. Ty and Britney, they didn't know nothing about each other. Britney didn't know anything about Ty. Even the questions they got right, it was because Ty knew a little bit about Britney in terms of what her favorite drink was. Because guess what? He's always giving her drinks. They knew that one. They knew that one. I guess you would learn when a person's constantly asking you what to get them. You would learn what their favorite cocktail is. And of course, Jared and Charlie knew nothing about each other, nothing, because all Jared has ever been interested in is rubbing on her booty. That's all Jared has ever concerned about himself is how do I sleep with this woman? How do I get this woman in bed? He doesn't care about anything else. Even later on when they were playing Never Ever Mess, he could care less how freaky Charlie has been. All he cares about is let me in, let me get a piece, let me go to the boom room. All this other stuff, he don't care. He didn't even care that this woman had 4 kids and lied to him. Woo! Jared is sticking to his own assignment, and that is get the P thing as much as you can, and don't worry about nothing else because you're never going to be with this woman at all. And Jared is sticking to his game plan. And of course, Chris and Alexis didn't win nothing because when they asked the question about what's better, real life dating in real life or online, Country Christopher decides to tell his whole truth and say online. Christopher don't know how to date. I know he and Maya didn't work out. Maya from Ready to Love, I know they didn't work out because Maya is a princess. And I'm going to tell you what, Country Christopher is not into pleasing anyone. He is really not into really courting a woman, being chivalrous, nothing, giving her no ear candy. I mean, in one way, you got Clay over here, love bombing Tatiana. And then with the other hand, you got Country Christopher who don't know how to say anything nice at all. I don't want neither one of them. I wouldn't want either one of them. Both of them are a problem. Like I said, Country Christopher is a problem. And Alexis called him out right and said, you know what? That was wrong. That was wrong. But in the end, Clay and Tatiana won the game, even though when they asked the question about, is it acceptable to lying? Clay write down, no, it ain't acceptable, even though everyone knew he was lying. But check this out. Clay said it is not acceptable to lie. And he been telling us all episode season long that he don't want to be a player no more. But I got a question for all of you. Would you end up telling Tatiana the truth, or would you allow Clay to continue lying in her face the way he is? You know, I was thinking everyone knew the lie, but as we went along in this episode, we come to find out that everyone actually didn't know the lie about the baby. But here's the problem. Clay has been doing so much lying that everyone knew that he was a liar, but everyone didn't know the many lies he told. This is the problem with Clay. Clay has a morality issue. I believe that Clay is the type of person that likes to be liked. And what he does is he's willing to lie to people in order to create an image of himself that people will like. That's what I believe about Clay. And I think we're going to see more of it next week. Clay is a liar through and through. He's actually the worst kind of liar because what Clay is willing to do is Clay is willing to lie to you so that you will continue to have an image of him and you will like him so that he can get what he wants. Let me tell you something. There's an old saying about criminals, crooks, everyone. A lot of people, criminals will get mad and say, you can't tell me that I was the one that stole them glasses from the store. Prove that I stole them glasses from the floor. And let's say they didn't steal them glasses from the store, but you accuse them of doing it. The problem with thieves is typically, even when you finally pin them down and you catch them for thieving and stealing, odds are it's not their first offense. Most people don't get caught on their first offense. Most liars don't get caught on their first lie. And as a result, what they tend to do is keep lying and lying and lying, because what they say to themselves is, I'm not going to get caught on every lie. I'm not going to get caught every time I steal something. So I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to keep stealing and thieving and I'm going to keep lying all the time, because eventually you're not going to be able to catch me on every single lie. That's the kind of liar Clay is. Clay lies a lot. Every single day, lies roll out his mouth. He's a professional liar. So now you got Britney, you got Charlie, you got Jared, Kiki, Chris. All of them are sitting here knowing that Clay is lying about not telling Tatiana the truth, but you start to realize they are all convicting him on different lies. Alexis was convicting Clay on the lie of trying to pretend he was a vegan, and he wasn't. That's lie number one. You see, other people are convicting Clay on lies about the baby. This is what happens when you're dealing with a liar. They've told so many lies that if you finally get with another person and you start talking to another person, reconciling all the lies this other person has told you, your mind is going to be blown. Your mind is going to be blown. Odds are Tatiana has already caught Clay in a lie before this moment. There is no way I'm going to believe that this is the first lie that Clay has ever told. I don't believe it. He's a professional liar. He has told Tatiana a lie before, and then she caught him in the lie, and then he finally confessed. That's what I believe. This is why Tatiana already had a level of distrust of Clay, because what I believe is she has already caught him in a lie prior to this lie. So he was already on thin ice. This is why he's even more afraid to tell her the truth, because it's not the first lie. It's not because it's a big lie. That in itself is going to be a problem. But the reason he's also afraid to tell it is because what he knows is he's lied to Tatiana before, and she caught him in the lie, and she told him, don't be lying to me no more. And now what he's got to come back and do is not only reveal another lie he's told, he's also got to admit that, you know what, when you told me not to lie to you no more, I didn't stop. I continued to lie, because that's what I am. I'm addicted to lying. Country Christopher was mad at Alexis that when they were laughing about all this lying going on, she was the one over there laughing underneath her breath, basically saying this man Clay is trying to act like he wants to be truthful, but he's the biggest liar in the room, and who decided to check Alexis and say, hey, you are a representation of me and you like to be messy, so I'm going to need to be the one to check you. So Country Christopher decides he's going to pull Alexis aside and tell her, you know what, I don't want no messy woman. I don't want no messy woman in a relationship. And what Alexis should have told him was good, because I don't want no lazy man in a relationship. But anyway, he's told her, word to the wise, I don't want you putting me in no compromising position or no situation, because I'm real lazy in relationships and I don't want to have to rescue you from something that you done started, because I barely want to do anything in this relationship. And the last thing I want to do is have to rescue you out of a bad situation. Country Christopher is lazy. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not saying that what Alexis did was right, but I'm also telling you he's lazy. Has Country Christopher cooked anything? When are we going to see him do something? But even when Country Christopher checked Alexis, what did Alexis decide to go and do? She decided to go and confront Clay and say, what other kind of lies are you telling? And let me tell you something. When I was saying that you was lying, I was doing this over here. I guess she thinks she clearing it up, but she ain't clearing up nothing. She actually making it more muddy. She making it more muddy. And next thing you know, Clay is having a whole anxiety attack in the kitchen, because he's like, wait a minute, girl. Why are you bringing back the spotlight on my lying? I want you to bring the spotlight, take the spotlight away. But Clay, you don't have to worry about the spotlight being on your lion, because anytime somebody want to spread or put the spotlight on your lion, all Tatiana does is turn off the lights. Turn off the lights, because Clay don't want to see, because Tatiana don't want to see your lies anyway. You see, Clay, you getting a little help. You getting a little help from Tatiana. You don't want to tell Tatiana the truth, and Tatiana don't want to know the truth. Tatiana want to live in this fantasy land. She want to be booed up in this resort. You know, everybody is on a vacation. Everybody is at an all-exclusive resort. And Tatiana says, I'm on vacation at an all-inclusive resort. And at an all-inclusive resort, I don't want to have to face no lies. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to be booed up, lovey-dovey, and live a fantasy. Because at this point in time, Tatiana is putting on blinders. So you don't have to worry about no one putting no spotlight on your lies, Clay, because anytime someone puts on a bright light, you can trust and believe that Tatiana gonna turn off them lights. Turn off the lights and light a candle. That's exactly what Tatiana wants. And tell me sweet things. Like she said, her love language is words of affirmation. And love bombing is the biggest form of words of affirmation. So you got a person who's told you right away, I love for you to tell me sweet things, even if it's not the truth. There you go. And even after Clay gets busted and people are confronting him on lies, Tatiana is the one that tells Clay that you might need to go and apologize to Britney, because once again, in the kitchen, this is where it all goes down, in the kitchen. When they was cooking their tacos, Clay and Tatiana, Britney is in the room, and what Clay is asking for is everyone to clear the kitchen, because he really don't want no other people exposing his lie to Tatiana. So what he does is he asks Britney, could you leave the kitchen so we can continue cooking? Now we know he asked her to leave the kitchen because he didn't want her to expose his lies. We know what was really going on. But even in him asking her to leave the kitchen, did Britney leave the kitchen? No, because once again, Britney with a no neck is really good at giving direction. Britney is really good at telling everyone what she wants, what she needs, how she needs you to behave. But the minute you ask something of Britney, she never complies. She never does it. What she does to you is said, this is what you do. So next thing you know, she's bringing up the fact that when she was cooking, Clay was in the kitchen. Well, Britney, did you ever tell Clay to leave the kitchen and he said no? Those are two different things. He might have been in the kitchen, but did you ask him to leave? Did you say, hey, could you leave? You didn't do that. So you mean to tell me you think it's the same thing that when someone asks you to leave, it's the same thing that he was in your kitchen, but you never asked him to leave? No, girl, that's not the same thing. And for Britney, it doesn't need to be the same thing, because Britney is the queen of zero accountability. She is the queen of never seeing what she can do. She's the queen of always telling everybody else what they need to do. This ain't gonna work, Britney. This is not gonna work with, Britney, to be honest with you, this is not gonna work with anyone. I can't think of a person who would put up with a person with zero accountability for any long period of time. I can't think of a person who would do it. Clay said, listen, I really don't want no smoke. I don't want no snapback. I didn't need all of this going on. And then later on, you have a Tatiana telling Clay to apologize to Britney. I personally didn't think that he owed Britney an apology. Be honest with you, I didn't. Everybody is apologizing to Britney. Why can't Britney apologize to no one? What is going on? Why can't Britney apologize to anyone? What is going on? But the lies just keep coming. The lies keep coming. They're having a taco dinner. Clay give a whole speech about how he's growing in love with Tatiana every single day. He's growing in friendship with everyone. How could you be growing and all your relationships are built on lies? Your entire friendship foundation, your entire love foundation is built on a lie, Clay. He bringing out flowers, he's doing everything, and Jared can't contain himself from laughing. You know what? Jared is here having a good time. He be laughing at all these men. He was laughing last week at Irvin. He be laughing at Brandon. Now he's laughing at Clay. And in low key, he be laughing at Charlie behind her back. Jared don't care about anyone, not at all. He's ready to clown anyone and everyone as long as they want to step up and be clowned. And with so many lies floating around in this house, remember when we first got here, it was so many lies being told about babies being hid between all these people. They decide they're going to do a truth game, which is never have I ever. So let's get this right. Most people, a lot of these people have come to this show lying. But now what we're going to do is we're going to play a truth game about never have I ever. And in this never have I ever game, everyone's going to be honest and truthful, even though it's not good for the relationship. Woo, this is crazy. People lie to each other. That's not good for the relationship. And then when they play a truth game, where in some situations they actually should lie, that's when they decide to tell the truth. And that's even bad for the relationship. People got it all wrong. People are willing to lie to the people that they so-called love or care for. But then when they get around complete strangers, they believe that they owe complete strangers the truth. Give me a break. Charlie did it. Charlie and Jared lied to each other for 4.5 years about their babies. But as soon as they got to this house, they decided, we don't want to live the lie with these strangers. We want to tell them the truth. They playing all kind of never ever have I ever games. Have you sucked on toes? Have you had threesomes? Have you made a sex video? Have you had a one night stand? Have you had sex outside? Have you kissed the same sex? Ty had to think about that one. And then came the big bombshell about, have you ever slept with more than one person in 24 hours? And cue the gaslighting, because this is when Jay's pride and ego got in the way. And what she first said was, mistake was, you should have never told the truth. That's right. That's right. I'm going to condone lying in some situations. And first of all, you shouldn't have told the truth, especially if it isn't something your man already knew, because now you set yourself up for the very moment that happened. And let me tell you something. Do I believe people have the right to know about your sexual history in the past before you got together with them? No, I don't believe that they have a right to know. But if you want to have a relationship that is built on trust, then it probably is wise to have those types of conversations. But are they entitled to it? Not necessarily. But here's the problem that I had with Jay. Sinko wasn't trying to really even judge her for the fact that she had sex with two men or possibly two people on the same day. All he wanted to know was, at least did it happen before we started talking? And what Jay did was Jay stuck to her principle of, you don't have a right to know about my sexual history. No, girlfriend. No. If you are with this man and you are in a relationship, I do believe it's a valid question Jay should ask. So that Sinko can ask. So Jay, first of all, I don't even believe you should have answered the question in the game. Second of all, when he did ask you the question, you should have answered the question. Next thing you know, you digging a deeper hole for yourself and talking about you don't remember. Wait a minute, Jay. So now, are you lying or do you not remember? Because both of them are going to be a bad answer. If you can't remember if you had sex with two men in the same day in the last 6 months that I've been talking to you or with you, Houston, we got a problem. We got a problem. And also, if you can't answer my question, we got a problem. Now, I know when Sinko's friend came and Sinko's friend said, well, man, maybe she didn't want to have the conversation in front of everyone. Okay, friend, maybe you're right. Well, if she didn't want to reveal her sexual history in front of everybody, and it's a sensitive subject, then she should have never admitted it. And that's what I said from the very beginning. She either should have lied or should have refrained from answering the question. Right? Because if you have a problem talking about it in front of everyone, you shouldn't have been playing the game. And then what you should have done is when he asked you the question, you could have told him, hey, let's step outside and I'll tell you your answer that you want. But that's not what Jay did. Jay wasn't willing to tell him the answer. What she told him is you have no right to, and I don't have to answer no questions just because you asked me. That is the pride of Jay. That is the pride and ego of Jay, wanting to be superior, wanting to be in control, and wanting to be the dominant one. I told you that when you like to win, when you like to be the top dog, what happens is it rears its ugly head in even situations like now, because now what you want to do is you want to be right in this argument with Sinko. That's what you want to do. You want to be right. But what you should be more concerned about is the health of your relationship, not about being right. She started telling this man that it's pointless and irrelevant. No, it's not. It's not pointless and irrelevant that you had sex or possibly with two men while we was talking. That is very relevant, and it's a big point, Jay. So I'm so happy that when her sister showed up, her sister knocked some sense into her, because Jay was sitting over here talking about it was Sinko's fault. He liked to hold on to issues. He don't know how to let anything go. Girl, he don't know how to let nothing go. You don't know how to let go of control. You don't know how to let go of control. Jay, you was the problem. You were the problem. And then what she was more concerned about was she was concerned about how it looked in front of other people. You see, what she didn't like about Sinko was that Sinko asked her, hey, did it happen while we were dating? Because what Jay came back and said is, now they're going to see that we're broken and we got issues. Girl, once again, here is your ego and pride trying to win a game, trying to be the couple that goes home together, but it's not really the best thing for your relationship. You more worried about winning a game, winning this whole season, being the number one couple, than you are concerned about the health of your company. She's sitting over here worrying about how other people are going to see her and that they're broken and they got communication issues. Jay is too worried about competition and winning. The best thing that came out of this was she came around in the end, that her sister came and said, girl, you got to learn how to pick your battles. You know what I'm saying? I really believe the sister gave her some really good advice. I hope she takes it. And I was glad that the sister gave Sinko some kudos for saying, Jay thinks she's such a good communicator. Actually, Sinko is the better communicator. He is. So far, from what I see, Sinko is a way better communicator than Jay is. Jay, you think you the leader? Not in communication, you're not, girl. You need to learn how to take a few notes. Take a few notes. Don't try to lead in every situation. I'm going to tell you right now, in the communication area, you're not number one. You are number two. But in the end, we had to see Clay and Tatiana go to the boom boom room. I guess they did the boom boom thing. Clay love bombed her so much that it looks like she dropped the panties. And I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed, Tatiana. I really, really am. I'm disappointed, but I can't absolve you, because you're going to have to take some ownership here, because the love bombing was very clear. You even saw it. And what you want to do was live the fantasy life. The fantasy life. You didn't want to face the truth. This is why a lot of people say they keep ending up in bad relationships. They keep dating the same type of men. They keep getting hurt. But along with getting hurt all the time must mean you're not learning something. It must mean you're not learning something. And so what you keep putting yourself in harm's way is because at some point in time, women have got to become smarter, and they can't completely rely all the time for men to always tell them the truth. Do we want men to always tell us the truth? We do. But you also have to become smarter and wiser, because no matter where you go in life, they're going to be liars. You got to learn how to have discernment, and you got to learn how to act on your own discernment. You can't sit around and be the victim all the time of men who do horrible things to you. Women can't always be the victim of men who do horrible things to them, because Tatiana has had too many clues, too many people for her now to not only not be pressing Clay to reveal the secret, but she's also growing in love and growing in intimacy. She's not even holding back in the relationship. She's continuing to move forward, and she's even putting more gas to the relationship. This is a bad move, Tatiana. It's a bad, bad move, girl. You even got Charlie over here judging Tatiana and Clay. Charlie, the 4.5-year liar, is over here judging Clay and Tatiana's relationship when the lie she told is 4 times bigger than the lie Clay has told. Something tells me that once Clay revealed the secret, because he said he's going to reveal it when his friend comes, that Tatiana is going to forgive him anyway. And it looks like next week from the previews, when this best friend shows up as Clay, Tatiana going to have some misplaced anger. All this time, we've seen Tatiana stay sweet, calm, and collected. But the minute this woman shows up next week, all of a sudden, it looks like Tatiana's going to start screaming and yelling at this woman and say, leave my man alone, and calling her all kind of B names. Girl, your anger is misplaced. Your anger is going to be misplaced. But we're going to see how it plays out next week. We really are. But we're going to end right here, right now, with Clay, who's saying he don't want to be a player no more. But he's certainly willing to still be a liar. Anyway, that's all I got, y'all. That's all I got. I will talk to y'all later. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment down below. And I'll see y'all later. Bye.